Welcome back to Taylrv Living. I'm Veronica Taylor, your host. If you are a busy professional looking to simplify your life, you are in the right place. Today, we have an exciting guest. Lindsay of the Plant Plan is here to help us declutter our diets and eat healthy and as simple as possible. So, without further ado, let's meet Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Lindsay from the Plant Plan. And what I do is I'm a health coach that helps folks eat well for whatever their goals are. May that be health, longevity, muscle building, fat loss maintenance, any of that. You can come over to my channel and check out what I have to offer.
Great. So we're going to jump right into the first question. You help build people's muscles on a plant-based diet, which defines a lot of myths. What biggest misconception of plant-based fitness you'll love to debunk?
Oh, that could be the whole live. Honestly, there's so much there.
Oh, please do
There are a
share.
lot of, huh?
I said, please do share.
Oh my God. There's a lot. There's a lot. I think there are a lot of myths about being plant-based, and then there's a lot of myths around fitness, and then there's a lot of myths like with both combined and a lot of confusion and stuff. I would say the thing that I hear the most is probably that you can't get enough protein on a plant-based diet. And I think why I focus on that a lot in my channel. And there are myths on both ends, right? There are omnivores who think that, and then there are plant-based folks who, for some reason, think that you don't need to focus on protein at all and that you're going to get enough no matter what you eat, as long as you eat enough food, which is true. But that is based off of like, you know, you'll eat enough to not have a deficiency,
Mhm.
right? And that's fine. That's great. We don't want deficiencies. We want to be able to live and live properly. But for optimal health, just eating whatever is not enough. And so that's definitely a big, big myth that I want to dispel on both sides.
Okay. A lot of people struggle with all or nothing thinking when it comes to diet. How do you help clients build sustainable habits instead of a quick fix?
Yeah, so this is a loaded one too. There's a lot of baggage that people carry with eating, and there's a lot of emotion involved. Sometimes folks feel one way or another. I would say the most important thing, or the most helpful tool, would be really to think about living in like an 80-20 balance, right? You may have heard of this before. It's an approach where you look at the totality of your diet and not necessarily like, ooh, I'm eating this thing that's bad, or ooh, I'm eating this thing that's healthy or good.
Mhm.
You're really looking at the totality of your diet and thinking, okay, for most of the time, I'm going to eat things that are health promoting, that I know are wholesome. And then 20% of the time, it's totally okay to be a human and enjoy food and enjoy, all these like fun junk foods that are available to us.
Okay. What is your number one non negotiable daily habit for energy and focus?
Okay, so there's two answers here.
Okay.
One is the honest Lindsay answer, and one is the coach Lindsay answer. They're both true. They're both true. So the honest Lindsay answer is coffee. I love coffee. It
Uh,
gives energy. It gives focus. This is, like proven. Science gives this. For some people, they are really sensitive to it. So, of course, for folks who are sensitive to it, you want to limit the caffeine or not have it at all, right? It's not something that's necessary in your diet. But for me, I love coffee. So I will have a cup in the morning. Right, that it's a habit that I enjoy as well. The making of the coffee, the smell. just the routine of it is great. And that gives me also some focus, some time to kind of like, I'm doing this one thing right now. I'm having this one thing that I enjoy, and then I'm getting ready for the rest of my day. Um, and for those who don't partake in it, you can find other things. So Coach Lindsay will recommend to everyone to get good sleep.
Mm,
There is so much that goes on in sleep. I'm sure it's going to come up again and again in this conversation, but sleep is so important, and it helps regulate a lot, right? Regulate a lot of hormones that are attached to mood and energy and focus and things like that. So I would say getting enough sleep, whatever that is for you, prioritize that for sure.
hmm. And what's the coffee brand that you drink often?
So listen, you're gonna have me expose myself as a coffee nerd here. I like a lot of like local roasters. I like a lot of that's one of the things I do when I travel is find a good specialty coffee shop
Hmm.
and see what special roasts that they have. So any given week I'll have a completely different bag of beans in my house. That being said, I'm not a snob about it. I love regular coffee as well. I'll get a bag at Trader Joe's, just because it's convenient and it's inexpensive. So the short version of that story is I'm not married to any brands, but I like specialty coffee. Yeah.
Okay. And you're very busy, a busy professional. What's kind of like your sleep schedule? Does it vary from the week, during the weekday to the weekend, or are you consistent?
Yeah, yeah, this is another like split answer between Honest Lindsay and Coach Lindsay. So, for me, I do prioritize sleep, right? I
Mhm,
try to get my, X amount of hours in. I try to keep a consistent in bed time.
mhm,
Um, Here's the thing with sleep, you can't control how much sleep you get. You can't control when you're going to sleep, but you can control the sleep opportunity you give yourself. And so what that means is creating a good environment for sleep to happen. So one of those things is getting to bed relatively around the same time every night.
mhm,
And then the rest is up to the gods, like let the sleep come when it can. Another thing is putting your phone away, right? I know that's not part of your question, but those are the things that I do to kind of try to maintain a good restful sleep. Um, in trying to, like I'll wear an eye mask or, shut the curtains, things like that. But that's pretty much my routine, making sure that I get to bed around the same time every night. Um, and that's kind of a non-negotiable unless if there's social activities that I'm doing that I feel are equally important as far as stress reduction and keeping happy and maintaining my friendships and things like that. So so yeah, I think between the weekdays and the weekends, it varies. So
mhm.
that's where Coach Lindsay will say, try to keep the consistency, right? Because your body likes the schedule. But yeah, a Friday night's a Friday night. So I do my best. I do get in my sleep, but it might be a little later on a Friday, Saturday. So
Mhm. And then also, how do you feel about kind of like if you're an older adult and you take naps often? What's your partake on that?
why not? Why not? I think the argument against napping in the day is to say, um, it's kind of like, hey, don't spoil your meal kind of thing by like snacking and that,
Mhm,
I think analogous to that in that if you try to take a nap too close to what your normal bedtime would be, then it may disrupt your sleep or not disrupt your sleep, it may delay your sleep time. Right. So
uh,
again, it's part of that, like giving yourself the best sleep opportunity. If you're tired throughout the day and you have the opportunity to take a nap, um, if it's like 7 p.m., maybe do some, maybe go take a walk and like kind of keep yourself up a little bit until your actual sleep time. But if it's 1, 2 o'clock and you have the opportunity to take a 20, 30 minute nap,
mhm.
go ahead. If you're feeling that, your body probably needs it. And why not?
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's jump over to the comments and check in. Uh, Bottomist says hello. Hi, Bottomist. Beverly, good morning, Beverly. She's in California. Hi, Tiffany. Woo woo.
Hi.
Beverly have a question. I love the 80. Oh, she has a comment. I love the 80/20. It makes it much so easier mentally. Yes, I agree.
That's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiffany says, I like that I'm less disciplined when I'm traveling. I allow myself to eat whatever, and I'm more disciplined at home. Yeah.
Yep, yep. That's a perfect example of 80/20, right?
Yeah.
Beverly was right. Like it really is a relief mentally when you realize that this one, you know, I hate this word, but I'm heavy air quotes. If you can't see me, I'm air quoting like heck right now. Bad meal is not a bad meal, right? It's not making your entire diet bad, right? So, if you want to have fun while you're traveling, please go and have fun and eat all the things while you're traveling. And then, when you're home, then you have a better opportunity to make better meals and be more health promoting at home. That's totally fine.
Yeah. And Tiffany, same. Um, Tiffany wants to know how much is enough sleep?
Yeah, so this varies per person, honestly. Now, I can't say for children or for older adults, right? So things vary a little bit on those ends of our life, both of those ends. But for adults, that 7 to 9 is preferable, right? If you're a little bit less than that, that's fine, as long as you consistently get around that amount every day, right? So if you're a 6 hour sleeper and that's just what your body does,
Mm-hmm.
and I wouldn't try to force sleeping more. That's what your body needs. Your body will tell you how much it needs, right? I mean, there's some things that disrupt our sleep, right? So if you're chronically getting 6 hours and you are tired and lethargic and have kind of a testy mood all day, you might
Mm-hmm.
need more, and you would work on that, right? By some of the techniques I mentioned before. And if you are much more than 9, you may want to examine that a little bit, see a professional to see if there's something wrong on that end as well. But for most people, the general recommendation is trying to get 7 to 9 hours of rest. Yeah. I call it bedtime again, because again, it's not something that you can necessarily control, but you can control how much of an opportunity for sleep, right? So if I'm planning to get up at 7 o'clock, I want to make sure that I'm in bed 10:45, the latest, um,
Mm-hmm.
if I can, when I can help it, to make sure that when 7 o'clock comes, I mean, I'll rely on my alarm anyway, but, so that I'm not influenced to hit that snooze button 10 times because I'm still feeling drowsy and whatnot.
Right. Okay. Hold on a second. Beverly said she is out in them streets. Beverly, you be in those streets, girl, on Fridays?
See, what had happened was that
Exactly. Tiffany laugh out loud. Beverly said, for me, 7 hours is my perfect amount of time. I wake up automatically when I have 7 hours. Yeah.
you're living the dream, Beverly. You're living the dream. Yeah. Well, you want to get to that point, right? When you are able to get up without the alarm. And that's just kind of when you naturally, like, your cortisol levels start rising and you're like, eyes open. That is so perfect, right? That's before we had the alarms, before we had to get up to work and all of that way back in the heyday. That's kind of what happened. That's what we did, right? And so ideally, I think that's really where you want to be. So whatever you're doing, Beverly, oh my gosh, share that. Share that in the comments.
Bottom it says, what is a normal daily diet consist of on a plant-based diet?
This is a phenomenal question. Thank you for asking. So I'll take a step back and define what a plant-based diet is in the first place, because it's one of those terms that if you ask one person, it means something. If you ask someone else, it means something else. And so there are many different words that kind of either can mean the same thing or mean wildly different things, right? So I'll just describe myself, right? So I am vegan and I eat a plant-based diet,
Okay.
right? So you notice I use both of those things. So
Mm-hmm.
a vegan is it's an ethical choice. People use it to describe a diet because that's like a component of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so that's kind of the everything kind of section of it. A plant-based diet can mean a diet that is relies heavily on plant foods, or depending on who you're talking to, it can mean a vegan diet that is exclusively plants and no animal products.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a third, there's no more room on this side of the screen, so I'll go here. There's a third group that will say that it is a diet that is primarily and exclusively plant foods that are unprocessed,
Uh,
right? So there's nuance here. I will continue to use it in this conversation to mean a diet that is primarily plant based, right? Primarily based on plants and plant foods. Before anyone gets technical in the comments, yes, I'm including mushrooms. Yes, I understand they're not plants. It's fine. They're fungus, but whatever. But yeah, a diet that's based primarily on that. So you can have, technically, you can have a plant-based diet and include things like fish, eggs, whatever. But the majority, again, we can go back to that 80-20 thing. The
mm,
majority of your diet, can be plant foods or foods derived from plants, if you want to say it that way as well. Yeah.
okay.
So to actually answer the question, a day to day, so for me, for example, today I had a protein shake.
Mhm.
That protein shake was obviously, plant based. And I had some raspberries in there. I was really on the go today, so I didn't have an opportunity to make a proper breakfast, but that's what I had. For lunch, I will have after this some pasta and some like kind of, you know, meat adjacent crumbles, and some sauce with that, obviously. And then for dinner, I'll probably have some tofu with like probably a tofu stir fry because I have a lot of stir fry veg in my apartment, and then I'll add a sauce to that, like just maybe a teriyaki type or style sauce. Yeah.
Mm,
So I have a lot of examples on my channel. So if you're really curious about, okay, what the heck do people eat when they're only eating plants and plant adjacent things?
yeah.
So there's that. But essentially, it's making sure that you're having a wide variety of plants in your diet, and then also being mindful of the protein sources that are available to you, right? Because if you're an omnivore, you have access to plant foods and animal foods, right? But if you are on a plant-based diet or you're exclusively vegan, and eating that way, then you may have to relearn a little bit of what's available to you as far as like good, uh, high protein foods.
Okay. And then just for people who's watching it, like plant based, what does she mean about a smoothie? Can you just be a little bit more detailed of actually what what goes actually in the blender? What do you put it in the blender to make it
Oh,
a smoothie?
listen. There are some vegan queens and kings out there that have the most complicated smoothies and they
Uh-huh.
put all sorts of fruits and stuff in it. Those are great. I am very simple and I don't want to buy 50 things when I go to the grocery store. So whatever frozen uh, uh, berry mix that's there, I'll put that in. So today I had raspberries. I so my blender's here. I put raspberries because you always want the heavy stuff in the bottom, pro tip. Then the liquids, right? So I had almond milk.
Uh-huh.
Almond milk is a great, especially if it's like unsweetened, unflavored, it's a great low calorie, milk that you can put in. So I had maybe a cup of that in there, and then I had some water to, because I like to have a lot of volume in my drink.
Mhm.
And then I put a chocolate protein powder in it. Yeah. And the protein itself, if you're curious, the protein is coming from a pea, PEA. Don't get funny.
Okay.
PEA and I don't think, yeah, there's no soy in there. It's like a completely kind of allergen-free situation. So it's mostly pea protein and, some like non-sugar kind of flavors and stuff in that particular mix that I have.
Okay, great. Let's go to the comments. Beverly said, I love hearing the distinction between vegan and plant-based. I've never heard it explained this way before. Great. Um, so I think I eat plant-based diet, lots of veggies, but I eat poultry. Is that right?
I think so. I think so. I think if most of your like even 75% of your diet is plants, and you have other things in that diet, but the basis of most of your meals is plants, then I think you have every right to say that you eat a plant-based diet. Will people get upset at you if you say this publicly on the internet? Absolutely. Because there's diet camps and everyone's upset at everybody else and each group has infighting and there's just like malarkey, and I don't subscribe to that. You will not get that on my channel. There are a lot of vegans who are even upset at vegetarians. It's a whole thing. Me myself, yes, I would say that yes, if you're eating, if you look at your plate, and yes, there's whatever animal-based protein or condiment or whatever you have is there, but also the majority of it is plants. That's a plant-based meal.
Okay, sounds good.
And I don't mean to bring any like vegetarian drama to your page.
No. How do you define healthy span versus lifespan, and why should we care?
Yeah. So a lot of people use these terms interchangeably, um, which is fine. The distinction that I make is, um, of course we want to live long, but I think at this point in time, 2025, medically, we're pretty good at that, right? We're pretty good at keeping people alive for long periods of time, um, outside of disasters and things like that, right? Um, but you want the majority of that time that you're alive to be uh, healthy, right?
Mhm,
And by that, I mean, healthy mind, healthy body, healthy range of motion and movement. You're able to do the things that you need to do, that you want to do, without assistance or without much assistance, right? So health span, we want to increase our health span, I believe, right?
mhm,
Um, Another distinction I can make is, myself personally, I would rather live to a healthy 76 where I can still do everything I can do.
mhm.
Now, coming up and down the stairs, pick myself up off the floor when I fall, things like that, versus live to 96 and then half of that be ill,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't mean to, being ill is not wrong or a problem, right? So I don't want to paint that picture as well.
Mhm,
But if we can prevent illness, if we can at least do what we can to uh, keep our bodies doing what we can do now, or even improving upon that, then why not? And there's a lot of control that we do have.
mhm,
There's a phrase that really struck me when I heard it, and I can't remember who said it or who to attribute it to, but it's something like, um, oh, see, now I'm going to go ahead and forget it on a live. The idea is that, you know, your genetics load the gun, so to speak. Sorry for this metaphor. The genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And so you may have things in your family that, like, okay, everyone has, diabetes, high blood pressure, the litany of things. Um, but those are all lifestyle illnesses, right? Yes, you may be predisposed to that, but you're not promised that,
Right.
right? So you have a lot of power in deciding, where that goes. And so that's what I want to encourage people to do. I think we can all win if we support ourselves, and each other in that. And yeah, so to do the things you need to do to make sure that most of your life is healthy, if you can.
Okay. And so let's continue to piggyback off of that case study. Uh, what would you say to a busy professional living in a city, who is, they're always on the go? Work is demanding. So sometimes they may eat at their desk. Sometimes they don't even eat when it's lunchtime. And then after work, you're meeting up, probably networking. So you're eating, you're drinking, you're not eating as healthy. How can they incorporate um, a more healthy meal, or be more conscious of what they're putting in their body?
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. I had a client call earlier today that was kind of the same thing. Like, I had the craziest week, and I just couldn't, fit in these healthy meals and da 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 and all that. I think there are some things that you can do to like mitigate the effects of, some momentary debauchery, not to like say that just keep going and like, this is what you do after. And that's not a healthy cycle to be on either. Um, but there are some things you can do in the moment. And there are some things that you can be mindful of. So I'll list a few things. One thing is, if you're eating out a lot, please know that restaurants, their entire business is to make you enjoy the food, right? They that's their business, right? You can't, like, I'm not saying it's positive or negative, it is what it is. So a lot of that will entail high sodium,
Hmm.
right? A lot of oil, which I have no problem with oil, but it is very calorie dense. And if you are trying to like kind of, be on the body weight journey or whatever, that might not be health promoting for your goals. And the portion sizes are all out of whack, right? I mean, if you are a smaller person or a woman or, short or whatever, and you have your colleague next to you who is like, a 6.5 foot tall dude, brolic, this and that, you order the same thing, you're getting the same portion size,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot going on with going to restaurants. And then, of course, you get the drinks, and then, oh, this person's getting that, they're buying shots for everyone. It can go downhill.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, if you can, if you know where you're going to eat, if you're eating out, look at the menu beforehand. Make a plan before you go. They're going to hand a menu to everyone. Just put it down. You already know what you're going to order. That's one thing I would say, because you're better able to decide something healthy beforehand than when you're sitting there and like, ooh, what are you getting? What are you getting? This looks good. What are they eating over there? That kind of thing. Another thing is, load up on water,
Mhm.
for two reasons. One, of course, preloading your body is, you got less room for other junk that's coming in, right? I shouldn't say junk, other foods,
Right.
high calorie foods that are coming in.
Mhm.
And two, it's going to help you process a lot of that sodium that's coming in. So, drinking water before and after, and obviously the day after as well, is going to be really helpful. And then, I would look at your plate, get to maybe around half, keep the conversation going, talk, chat, and then revisit it and see, am I actually still hungry? And then you can keep going after that, right? But just try to connect with the people that you're connecting with. That's the real reason you're there. You're not there
Right.
to sit and focus on your food necessarily. So have a great time. Don't beat yourself up about what happened and how much you ate and how many drinks you had and all of that. But try to have opportunities of being mindful when you're out and about eating, because that it can go downhill pretty fast. And I feel like there was another part of that question that I didn't answer. Um, did I get to your point
You
there?
you got to the point. It was just for a busy professional. So I know when I used to work at a firm, very high stress, you know, always eating on the go and not being
Yeah,
mindful of what I've eat. And then after work was the company's culture, and we would be so stressed out. We end up at a bar, like
yeah,
I with all our emotions going, and we're yelling about this client did this and this, your boss did this, and you know,
hmm,
putting them back, girl. I mean, like, and then, you get home late. So get home probably 11, 12, and then you got to wake back up and do it again. And your body is so sluggish, even after
yeah.
2 to 3 coffees some people drink. And it's just a bad endless cycle. And
It
I really,
is.
you
I
know,
would say, yeah, one of the things to stop that cycle is, again, picking things beforehand, right? So if
Mhm.
you go into it saying, I will have 1 or 2 drinks, and then I will have water or seltzer or what have you. I understand that socially you might feel a little awkward with that sort of thing. So maybe go to the bar yourself and come back with a drink. Maybe it's seltzer with some whatever will color it, depending on how shy you are about being that person that's not drinking. But this is your goal, this is your body, so do what you need to do. And I would say if it's event session, let it be event session. You don't need 10 drinks to do that. And also, drinking, sometimes people like have the glass of wine at night, to kind of like relax and be able to get to bed, but it does disrupt your sleep. So again, it's just something to be mindful of. I'm not a, anti-drinks person, but it's something to be careful of for sure, especially if it's part of the culture of the office. It only takes one person to make it not the culture of the office. That could be you. And if it's too far gone, rely on the fact that, okay, this is a time where we're venting. So focus on that, not necessarily on the drinks. If you want 1 or 2, go ahead and have the 1 or 2, and then just remember that you've decided that you're going to have 1 or 2. Even if the free drinks are coming, I know it's hard to say no to free drinks, but and then throughout the day as well, because I remember you did mention, skipping meals and all that sort of stuff. What I do is I have a snack drawer. I have a snack drawer so that if I don't have time or if I've forgotten and suddenly I'm hangry and I don't really have the time or effort even to like go and reheat the meal that I've prepared that's in the fridge, I will pull out one of the granola bars that I have or some fruit or whatever it is that I have in my drawer for that week. Um, and and then whatever lunch that I had prepared, if I had prepared it, I just move that to the freezer, and I'll worry about that later in the week. So
Yeah. Let's see. Uh, the trick is to ask for half to go when you order.
mhm, yep,
Then only bring half. Yep.
nice,
Um,
nice.
Tiffany said, I've been there. Wine before bed isn't that healthy?
It's mm, I don't want to say it's not healthy, but I would say that it's not health promoting. It's not promoting good sleep. It's not promoting good sleep.
Mhm.
Um, Wine is a perfectly fine beverage. I wouldn't drink it as a um, something to help me go to sleep, right? It may relax you, it may put you to sleep, but you're not having a good quality sleep when when you have alcohol in your system or a lot of alcohol in your system. You may notice that you get up more frequently to go to the restroom. You may uh, realize that you're kind of, dehydrated a little bit more than normal in the morning. It disrupts your sleep cycle, your amount of REM sleep and things like that. So it may help you get to sleep, maybe to a certain extent, but it's not the best for the best quality of sleep. But it's delicious and nutritious, and I love wine as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I drink cocktails, wine, I always end up eating more. Your reasoning goes out the window.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Totally.
Tiffany.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
all right. Oh,
This
she
is Coach Lindsay talking, not friend Lindsay talking. I'm sorry.
She says wine 100% disturbs my sleep. It agitates me. I still drink it, but it does have the impact on me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
mhm. Carlene joined. Hi,
Hello.
Carlene. She said I joined at the wine part. Excellent.
Now's a perfect time to
I
drink
know,
wine.
right?
Well,
It's
unless
like,
if it's nighttime where you're at, dead of night, like maybe not, if it's 9 o'clock, maybe.
okay. Meal prep can feel overwhelming. What's your streamlined system for planning high protein based meals without wasting food?
Yeah, yeah. So it can feel overwhelming, right? Because and I think part of that is because a lot of the meal prepping videos you see online are these multi-step recipes and, two versions of breakfast and two versions of dinner and there's this component that you're creating and then there's a whole different recipe for the side and if you're doing recipe meals and you're packing everything away and you're doing all of that, then it can be very overwhelming. I don't think you need to do all that to have a good meal prep situation going for yourself.
Okay.
So something that I recommend to kind of ease that overwhelm and make sure that you're meeting your nutrition goals is, and what you'll see me doing on my channel is picking one meal for breakfast, one meal for lunch, one meal for dinner. That doesn't mean that you're eating the same breakfast all week. That doesn't mean that you're eating the same lunch all week or the same dinner all week. Um, Another version of this is you can just pick one thing to prep, right? One ingredient to prep.
Hmm.
Especially if protein is your focus. Let's say you are someone who, okay, I have decided to increase my protein intake. How can I do that throughout the week? Well, pick a day out of the week that you can meal prep, right? Decide, around about what do I have and how I'm going to use that throughout the week. That's all meal prepping is. And then pick a time. It could be the same day, it could be the next day. Pick a time where you are going to prep your protein, right? Um, and what that could be is me, for example, if I have a protein like something I often use is something called textured pea protein. It's analogous to like ground beef or ground turkey or something like that,
Hmm.
except you can flavor it in whatever way you want because it's a very neutral flavor, but it's a high protein type of thing. And it comes dry and you rehydrate it. So that's something that I have going in my kitchen right now. It's rehydrating, and then I'm going to um, uh, cook that up and flavor it, and then boom, it goes away into my fridge so that whenever I'm making a meal for the rest of the week, I'll take out the vegetables that I have. If that's a meal where I have an additional carb that's attached to that meal, I'll take that out and then I'll add my protein, and it's as simple as that.
Oh, okay. What's your go-to strategy for keeping a healthy kitchen organized and clutter-free?
So this is where the fun comes in, right? For me, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Well, no, I'm not because I'm on a decluttering and organizational channel. Um, so for me, this part is really fun because you get to set up your kitchen how you want. Now, if you are living with multiple people, a family, you know, you may view this a little bit differently, but something I like to do is open up my fridge and give everything a place, right?
Mhm.
So for me, the top level of my fridge is all of the quick grab stuff, right? Stuff that I don't have to bend over too much and search and all of that. So I have my condiments and my pickled things going on. I really like pickled and fermented foods. So that is right there available. Then I have a section where like my quick grab and go breakfasts are. So I often like to make overnight oats, and my overnight oat jars just get lined up in that section over there. The door has all my condiments and things that don't need to be really cold, right? Because it's
Right.
by, you know, it's getting opened all the time and
Mhm.
it's away from the cooling elements. My second drawer is where all of my meal prep for the week goes, so I
Oh,
can just grab my lunch, you know, when I need it. And then the bottom is, you know, my water carafe and anything that I have yet to prep. So I have, you know, a stack of tofu that's chilling there.
mhm.
I have greens that are in my greens because I have a container for my greens, right? So I take it out the bag and I put it in there with a paper towel on it, and then I put it down there. And so what that looks like week to week is different, but I have a place for everything and everything's in its place. Similar situation is going on in the freezer where I have, you know, my frozen vegetables in one section. I have prepared meals that I haven't eaten from the prior week that I want to keep fresh in a
Mhm.
certain section. I have I have a container for my like food scraps that you know, there's a place down the street where I go and drop off my food scraps so that that doesn't get wasted. That energy is reused for growing more vegetables and things. And then I have my ice trays down there and some things that I have yet to use that I will try my best to use up at the bottom rack. And then my pantry is kind of the same. I have my grains, I have my you know, beans in a section, et cetera, et cetera. So again, it's just a place for everything and everything in its place. And then in the cabinets, I have all the way at the top where I can't quite see it. By the way, I'm very short, so I can't see much up there anyway. That's where the kind of like crackers and the things I'm trying to limit my consumption of, because if once you pop, you just can't stop kind of stuff, that's where that stuff lives.
Yes, yes. My ideal client. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through a pantry and the client, they don't know what half that stuff is there in their pantry. They're like, oh, I had this. When did I buy this? You know, and then majority of the stuff is out of date, so nobody goes through their stuff. So that's great that you are neat and organized, and it's for anybody. If anybody comes over to your house, they can go in your pantry and they can find things. They know where everything is at. So kudos to
And
you.
thank you. And the thing that I would add about that, the reason why it's important for me is I don't like wasting money. If I'm throwing out stuff, I mean, just ethically, first of all, because food waste is, oh, here's a fun statistic. If food waste was a country, it would be the third highest polluter on the planet. Behind the USA and China would be food waste.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is a matter of extreme importance just for our survival as a species, not to get on my high horse here about this, but it's very important. But also that if I'm throwing out food, that's
Mhm.
money that I earned, you know, at a job that I'm not like the most thrilled at, you know? So that's time that I've spent to earn the money to buy something that I'm now throwing away. So I want to make sure that everything that I have is visible and ready to use when I need to use it. And then I'm not throwing things out later on because then I feel, you know. And then of course, your parents' voices in your head, like, oh, starving kids somewhere. Yeah. But that's somehow still here in my head. So,
Okay. How do you balance variety versus simplicity in meal planning so it doesn't become a chore?
ooh. Um, so what I say is this is another reason why I like meal planning, because you get to decide what you want to eat instead of feeling pulled left and right by whatever your whims are, um or kind of having a lot of decision fatigue. And that's when you're like worrying constantly or thinking constantly, like, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? So you've picked one time to worry about it, right? Or to think about it. And then you just pick up, or rearrange or remix whatever your meals are throughout the week. So that's one thing I would say. As far as variety versus simplicity, um, when folks say you should have uh, variety in your diet, they don't mean meal to meal necessarily. You could have a very simple meal, but your overall diet for the week, for the month, can have variety and should have variety, right? I don't like the appeal to nature kind of fallacy, but if we could take a moment and think back on the before times, right? We weren't like traveling the plains of Africa, of West Africa, with like Kmart and Walmart and, all these other things going around, right? Where you could just go to aisle 7 and get 15 different types of cereals, right? So you had what was available to you in that season, right? So they didn't have the most colorful bowl of uh, uh, salad with all the colors of the rainbow represented in each meal, but throughout time they ate a wide variety of foods that were available to them. And I think we can apply the same to ourselves. I think the human body is very resilient. It doesn't need every single nutrient that you need every single day. It
Mm-hmm.
can onto things and kind of pull and grab what it needs when it needs it. So I don't think you have to worry on a meal level, but on a week level and on a month level, for example, you want to make sure that you're having a wide variety of meals. If you can have a really colorful plate, I think that's great and that's wonderful. But I think you can draw it down to its bare bones and say, okay, every day I want to make sure that I have one or two greens, one or two orange things, a red thing, and then making sure that I have my, a decent amount of protein per meal. And then it can be as simple as that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Beverly said, I admire you organizing folks. I love to be a better organizer. Yes, Beverly. Um, Car- Carlene said, I love that I use that system in my apartment. Everything has a place. Yes. And Tiffany said, that's shocking. So, how do you pair nutrients with fitness for body recomposition without burning out?
Ooh, burnout is burnout is a thing. I think the main thing for me is to avoid the extremes,
Hmm.
right? With nutrition, an extreme can be like fad diets and like extreme restriction, or only eating a certain thing. um so that's one thing. And then with fitness, extremes can be like really trying to wear yourself out in every workout. um you're going to get burnt out, and it's not necessary to do that, right? Like if your goal, for example, is to lose weight, you can lose weight with 2 to 3 workouts a week, right? Or less. You can do that, right? You don't have to work yourself to the bone, and in fact, that's probably going to be really bad in the long run, right? There's a lot of wear and tear that your body can go through. Mentally, it's very taxing, and if you put the goalpost up here and you don't meet it, your confidence dips, right?
Yeah.
And you don't you may also get into a cycle where you're relying on motivation to get to up here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you may be able to get there, but then when your motivation's down here, what's happening, right? So I don't know, slow and steady wins the race with most things. Um, with dieting, I feel like people really get into um, I think people don't realize that a lot of the things that are really popular are tools,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not the ideal way to eat necessarily for the rest of your life. They may be a tool for a short amount of time. Some of them are good tools, some of them are not good tools, some of them are good tools for certain people, some of them are good tool or bad tools for other people. So it's just being mindful of the least amount of effort for the most amount of gain that you can do and stick to that. You don't need to be up here doing ultra marathon training if you're just trying to like improve your cardiovascular fitness, right? You don't need to do extremes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and dieting is kind of like it could be very extreme because if you have a certain lifestyle, like I know I've gone on diets before and I've actually cut off my friend group because it's like if I can't go out with you guys because I'm gonna eat bad and I'm gonna drink, and so it's like I'm good at sticking to a diet to get to the end goal, but then trying to maintain that and trying to incorporate healthy eating habits into that, that's where the problem and the issue comes in because it's like okay, for the first 2 weeks great, but then it slowly like falls off. And I know this also happens like in organizing. When I'm telling my client, they're like, how long am I going to stay organizing? And I'm like, organized. And I'm like, that depends on you. And it's all about you have to change your behavioral pattern, but it's hard to tell someone, okay, you got to get rid of this or change this quickly when they've been doing it for like so long, you know?
Yeah. So there's two camps or two buckets of methods that you can use with this sort of thing. And I know you'll relate to this with the work that you do, but you can either do like one small step at a time, get good at that, and then get to the next step, right?
Hmm.
So for example, one tool that I use with clients who are trying to improve their overall um, uh, diet quality is I'll say, okay, let's not like raid the cabinet and throw everything out and all of that. Let's improve one meal a day.
Hmm.
Let's just improve one meal a day. Whatever the lowest hanging fruit is, let's do that. If you don't eat breakfast at all, okay, cool, clean slate. Let's pick two or three good breakfasts that you like, and we'll start there, right? It doesn't make sense to completely overhaul your whole eating pattern because it's not going to work. And it's too much effort. There's too much ignition cost to really get that going.
Right.
So, the first bucket is to do a little bit at a time, right? And this I think works for most people. Then there are some people who it does make sense to like, hey, we have a, a season of high motivation, high focus, and opportunity in our life, right? So this works well for people who are highly motivated, and maybe they got that call from the doctor, right?
Mhm.
And maybe other things in their environment is really supporting this, right? They live alone, they just moved somewhere, whatever variety of things. For those people, it may line up where okay, we are going to have this focus time of, a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is to focus on this. We have the energy, time, and ability and money or whatever it is to really do this well. And then, okay, now it's a whole lifestyle change. But even then, and for either of those,
Mhm.
if we have a focused amount of time or we're dieting, for example, we need an exit strategy, right? Because if we're doing a very specific change for a goal, this might not be what we need to do to maintain, the destination, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? So this is where, fat loss dieting and maintenance dieting can differ, right?
Mhm.
Whatever you're doing to lose fat, you don't necessarily have to do that for the rest of your life. But at the same time, whatever you're doing to diet, you need an end goal and you need like a off ramp to
Hmm.
get back to regular life, something that's sustainable, because you can't say bye to your friends
Right.
forever.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And maybe you didn't have to in the first place,
Right.
but okay, it is what it is. Let's find an off ramp. Let's find an
Mhm.
off ramp and then the smooth transition back into something that's sustainable that you can do over time.
Yeah, that's good. Um, what's your advice for someone who wants to build muscle but hates the rigid meal plans?
Yeah. So the two things that if it's like bare bones and you're really like on a muscle building journey and you don't want to do a whole bunch of stuff, get a protein target, split that up throughout the day, right? So let's say your protein target is um, I don't know, 120 grams of protein, right? You want to make sure that you're somewhere in the 30 range or 40 range for all of the meals in the day, depending on how many meals that you have throughout the day, and snacks and things like that. So split up your protein,
Hmm.
right? Have a goal for that. And then your calories, right? The thing about building muscle that a lot of people don't realize is that um, if you are putting on more body mass, you need more energy to do that, right?
Right.
You need more energy for the effort because it's a really energy consuming task to build that muscle. And then
Hmm.
also you're putting more mass on your body, right? So you need energy for that as well. So whatever your kind of maintenance or what you normally eat, you need to eat a little bit more. So being consistent with eating more and being consistent with your protein intake, that is the most important. That may have sounded complicated, but basically the the point is, eat more and eat more protein. Boom.
Yeah. Boom. Okay. Got it. Um, what's a lazy girl hack for hitting protein goals without cooking all day?
This is a great one. So I would say, um, getting comfortable here because this one. So so I would say don't shy away from prepared stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you go into your grocery store, there's always like a rotisserie something or other or prepackaged things. You want to make sure that you're looking at the sodium content of that, right? Over time, that's really not going to be a great thing. Um, but get prepared stuff. That is a great hack for the lazy folks among us.
Hmm.
I think also a good protein powder that you enjoy using,
Hmm.
game changer because especially if you're trying to eat more calories to build, well, if that's what you need. Actually, I should take a step back. Most people, if you are just beginning your journey, you may not need to eat more. You may already have enough energy in your body to
Uh-huh.
kind of recomp and then do that. But you definitely want to have more protein, right? That's the building blocks of
Yeah.
know, exercising with the goal of building more muscle and not having enough protein is like, it's like having the contractors at your house or having the building guys at your house and they show up and you haven't provided any bricks and they're like,
Right.
okay, well, this is nice land that you have. So I don't know where to go. I don't know what you want me to do. So, so yeah, so you want to make sure that you have a good amount of protein. An easy way to do that, protein shakes, prepped protein, or things that require minimal prep, right? And then the other thing is, I mentioned it before, picking one day a week to do an ingredient prep for your protein.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
Carbohydrates, it's easy to I mean, you don't have to like prepare rice, for example, although that's quite simple. You can have a really good quality bread, right? That's simple, it's nutritious, especially something like sourdough or wholemeal, whole grain bread. Um, Things like potatoes. If you have an air fryer, that's also like, please get the an air fryer if you can. A cheaper one is fine, but it's the easiest thing. I cook half of my meals in that. I
Uh-huh.
consider myself a lazy girl, so that's another pro tip right there.
Okay, great. Let's see. Okay. You talk about maintenance dieting. How do you make it feel effortless versus restrictive?
Ooh. Um, you want to rely on the habits that you already created in your dieting process, right? So,
Mhm,
I should say that a maintenance diet, the way I use it is to say after a diet, how do you maintain whatever it is that you've gained or lost,
mhm,
right? So if your maintenance diet is post like muscle building or bulking phase or something like that,
mhm,
you keep the muscle that you worked hard to earn, right? And so you want to use some of those same habits. You don't have to be as meticulous or extreme or whatever, but you want to keep resistance training. You want to keep having a good amount of meals, right? Good amount of um, calories in each meal, right? If
mhm,
you're maintenance dieting, you want to I'm sorry, if you're maintenance dieting after a fat loss diet, then you want to practice the same things that you did before, which is making sure that you're getting a decent amount of protein in each meal, looking at the calorie density of the foods that you're having with that protein, right? Relying more on vegetables than on, starchy carbs, for example. And, you know, I don't know if titrating is the right word, but the portion of lower calorie vegetables versus higher calorie vegetables and sauces and oils and stuff. Make sure that that is appropriate for what you're trying to keep. I think again, meal prepping, meal planning is the perfect opportunity for this because you're just getting into the rhythm of, okay, I already know what to eat. I may eat more now because I'm no longer like trying to lose weight. I'm trying to stay here.
mhm.
So I know what this is. So I'm just going to keep replicating those meals, jazzing up those meals in different ways. I may eat a little bit more of this portion, you know, or less, and that's fine. You can just go from there.
Okay. Good. Um, let's see. Oh, here's another. What's the best tip for overcoming the "I'll start Monday" mentality? I've done that before.
Yes. Here's the thing about Monday. The thing about Monday is either Monday never comes or Monday always comes, if you hear what I'm saying. So forget about Monday. What can you do today? Right? I think a lot of the I'll start on Monday is that all or nothing mentality because you think like you're imagining the amount of effort and things that you have to do to start. You don't, right?
Mhm,
What is your next meal? How can you improve that meal? And then
mhm,
the next one after that, and the next one after that. The goal here is to increase the frequency of good choices to the
yeah,
point where it becomes a habit after a while,
mhm,
right? And that you're not thinking so much about it. Yes, there's an ignition cost here, right? You're going to have to put in a little bit more effort at the onset, but once you're on cruise control, you're on cruise control, right? So just think about, when you sit down for your next meal, okay, what's this portion size here? How can I include a protein, a good source of protein, a lean source of protein if needed? How can I include vegetables, right? Can I add a vegetable to this? And yeah, that's it. That's it.
How do you help clients practice self-regulating eating while still achieving their fitness goals?
Yeah. So this is a multifaceted one. I think self-regulated eating is really when you're just paying attention to how your food is making you feel, paying attention to what you need at that moment.
Mhm,
Um, Planning offers you the opportunity to keep your basic needs, you know, at the forefront, right? So
mhm,
you've already thought about the next day's meal, at least, right? If you're not planning for the whole week, you're planning for the next day. and you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to get lunch at this place, and I'm going to bring my breakfast. I already know what I have, and here's my lunch, right? But once you sit down to eat, you are just eating, right? Try to just eat. I'm someone who, for better or worse, I have YouTube on in the background, pretty much at all times. I, I may be texting or on a phone call with someone, but try to limit the amount of stimulus that you have when you're eating and try to focus on what you're eating,
Mm,
um,
okay.
so that you can enjoy it, that you can understand or hear when you're full. Here, I just mean like, sense when you're full, that you can enjoy the flavors that are on the plate, and that you can say, "Cool, I've had enough now," right? If your goal is to kind of eat less.
Yeah.
If your goal is to eat more, to like, build muscle, you're as lean as you want to be at the moment, and you're trying to like eat more, then you want to do other things, right? You want to maybe have higher calorie dense foods, right? You maybe want to add some condiments on it, right? Because for some people, I hear, I'm not of this group, but I coach this group sometimes. You may get full really easily. Like, what a wonderful problem to have. You may not want to eat more, right? But you know that you need to have a calorie target and things like that. Um, and so for them, I would say, okay, instead of the salad, right? Then maybe have a sandwich or maybe have rice, or maybe increase the portion of rice that you have. Maybe, have, instead of half an avocado, have a little bit more than that, or make that an avocado sauce so that, end up using more. And things like that. So depending on what your goals are, you want to kind of use some tactics that make it easier to do that while you're sitting down and being mindful of what you have.
Yeah. What's one small change someone can make today for big healthy results?
Uh, I'm gonna continue my answering with multiple answers. I'm sorry. Like, what's one? I have 12. So I would say, again, that sleep opportunity thing, if you can find a way to improve your sleep, um, getting to bed, like pick a time to get to bed.
Okay.
That's like a number one thing. Number two, drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, our bodies are mostly water. A lot of the um, chemical processes that are happening in our body occur in water, right? We need it for a lot, for body temperature regulation, and like there's just so much. So drink more water, whatever it is you're drinking, drink more. Um, and then eat more plants.
Yeah.
Eat more plants. You can always find a way to add at least one plant to every meal.
Okay. What's your favorite unhealthy food you still enjoy guilt free?
Ooh, okay, so this is a hard question for me to answer because like I don't feel guilty about food.
Okay.
If I'm gonna eat it, I'm gonna eat it, and I'm just mindful. I'm just trying to be mindful. That being said, I would say fries. Partially because that is a like starter pack of veganism, honestly. We got to survive out here in restaurants. Sometimes not every restaurant is going to cater to us. Um, and we don't often get to choose where we're eating with friends, right? So sometimes if you're meeting a friend out and about and they say, okay, let's meet here. Okay, you go and you look at the menu, and there's not much on there, but you know what's on there? Fries.
Right.
It's the vegan survival pack food.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go wrong.
yeah. And you can't do fries wrong. Like you just put it in the oil, like you know. So it's gonna be good regardless.
What's a health food you think is overrated?
Anything labeled a superfood I can't stand that.
Yeah.
That I can't stand it. Um, yeah, anything labeled a superfood, there's way too much hype, right? And then, after a while it becomes old hat and it's, like quinoa, for example. I mean, it had its heyday. Everyone was like, you must eat quinoa. It's like the healthiest food on the planet. Da, 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 da. Da. And now it's just like, you want quinoa? Okay. So there's nothing magical or special about certain foods. It's your overall diet that is important, right?
Mhm.
So any one of those things, spirulina, what's the, it's not aloe, but there's like another like gel kind of thing that's really popular in some circles. I don't know. It's all of them, all of them.
So that's all of them. What's your proudest glow up moment, physically or mentally?
Oof. Um, I should probably give you a mental one, but all I can think of is deadlifting. Wait, I have to do conversion math. Deadlifting like 220, no, no, 240. Yeah, about like 220, 240 pounds, for what, 5 reps or something like that. I was pretty proud when that happened. That was also a bad math moment. I thought I put on other plates, and then when I lifted it, I was like, this is really heavy. What's going on here? But I just kept going, and I was like, cool. And I got to 5 reps, and then I did the math, and I was like, okay,
Okay,
she
Lindsay, I
struggled.
can see that. Love that. Let's jump over to the comments. Let's see what they're talking about. Um, Carlene said, I believe that. I see a restaurant near my job using bags of bagels to prop their door. Not sure if they donate it. Oh, gosh.
I hope they do.
Woo.
Wait, maybe I hope they don't. If they're using it to prop open the door,
Door,
I
yeah,
don't
I don't
want
think
door
that's,
bagels.
yeah, don't, I mean, don't donate it. Like, no.
Ugh.
Tiffany says, that's shocking. Bonimus says, that's me. Uh, my daughter sent 1,000 hearts. Aww.
Oh, wait, she's of the generation that does this, right? What are they doing now with the hearts now? This one, or there's another one with the.
Mm. Not my generation.
That's out there. But
Thank
yes, send
you,
her a heart.
love. We love you.
She's a cutie.
Okay, so let's question what's next for you? Any exciting projects or goals are you working towards?
Yes, yeah. So I mentioned a little bit about my coaching. So I'm at capacity now, but I will be opening doors for one-on-one coaching in probably late May, early June.
Okay.
So, if you want to work with me, I do have a link to my wait list. I'm also hoping, let me see if I can get my ideas up here. I'm also working on creating some meal guides, like planners, meal prep tips and tricks and things like that. So I'll make that available in the coming weeks for folks on my wait list. So if you're at all interested in that, join it. The link I think is in the chat. So yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that.
Okay. Yes. So go subscribe to Lindsay channel, The Plant Plan. And also in the comments, I posted her plant plan wait list so you can get some coaching. And thank you, Lindsay, for joining us. Thank you for giving us all that information. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love your channel. I'm going to give you your flowers
Oh,
now.
thank you.
Okay. I love your channel. Listen, the way I cleaned out my closet the other week, I think I may have messaged you this about this. I
Yeah,
was like, I looked around, I was like, what even are these clothes? Like, why do I have all this junk here? And the tips that you gave me and the tips that you're showing on your channel is going to improve a lot of people's lives. And I am very thankful and I'm honored to be one of your first guests. Yay.
Thank you. This has been fun. Definitely come back and update us on what's new. And thank you, everybody, for joining Taylrv. And we'll see you next time. Bye.